What is going on, YouTube? Pass the Prop is back. We're here coming at you guys for Week 10 NFL edition. Joined as always by my guy, Stu. What's good, man?
Nothing much. Another week of the NFL getting ready to kick off. Obviously had our wonderful Thursday night football matchup yesterday. First overall pick going up against the undrafted Division II quarterback. Apparently that's now happened twice in NFL history, and undrafted quarterbacks are 2-0 in those situations. So shout out to all my trend guys out there. I just hooked you up with one for life. Make sure to use that in the next 22 years whenever that situation comes back up again. I got you. That's what we do here at Pass the Prop. But more importantly, we got a great slate of games coming up this weekend. Obviously, I had a very nice start yesterday, nice 3-1 in those ugly games. It always feels a little bit better when you can make some money, right? You don't feel like you just wasted the last couple of hours of your life staring at that awful game. So turned a negative into a positive. Excited to keep it rolling this weekend.
I thoroughly enjoyed not watching that game. I turned it on with 3 minutes left. Got the check down garbage yards. You knew it was coming with Bryce Young. Didn't even pay attention to that. Obviously, college basketball's on, man. I might as well bet on that. I had James. If you guys saw, that might have been one of the craziest college basketball games I've ever seen, at least this early in the year. I had their first half over 70.5. Ended up going reverse line movement on me, getting to 68, put another unit on it. They ended up going at like 80, and then the final score was almost hundreds. So it was probably one of the easier cashes. These early games, definitely the books don't know where to put it at, especially on these small schools, baby. That's where you make the money. You throw those small schools in there. No one wants to bet on those, but hey, I'll be there. I'd rather watch that than 3-yard dump offs to fucking Adam Thielen and running Miles Sanders 2-yard runs up the middle into nobody. So perfectly content with my decision in not watching that Carolina game.
No, I agree. And hey, I was even going to text you yesterday. I was like, is JMU now suddenly a football and basketball school out of nowhere in the last 2 years? Like, I mean, beating Michigan State, like, I wasn't watching, obviously. I just checked my phone and almost dropped it. You know, I was freaking wearing a Michigan State headband when I saw it at the time. So I don't know where that's coming from.
That one, I'll give a little pass because I literally, I just did a write-up for it yesterday when I did my show. Dude, Michigan State shot 1 for 20 from 3. Ooh. 1 for 20. I'm like, bro, give me a ball right now. I'm hitting at least 5, homie. I'm hitting at least 5. Hitting 5. And then you look at their free throws. They shot 61%. 61%. Wow. How's Tom Izzo letting these guys play? I thought that was part of like what you do when you go to Michigan State. Maybe learn how to shoot free throws. 61%, 5% from 3. No wonder you lose. That's why I took the over because I'm like, dude, they scored 70 points in the first half in that first game with JMU and Michigan State. And Michigan State scored 33 points on that defense. Was shooting like that. Like, it was crazy, dude. Like, those are what you're looking for. Those are the games you want. So, yeah, really excited for that. And, like, so much better than watching that Carolina game. That game was so much fun to watch, the JMU one last night. So, very happy with my choice. And hopefully these games this weekend will be a little better.
Yeah, there's a nice little promo right there for PPS's play of the day that you guys got to be tuned into as well. Because, hey, not every NFL game is going to be good, and he's still got you covered on all these, weird-ass slates with these random teams that, once again, you'll judge him at first, and then you'll make a little bit of money, and it'll be okay in the end.
Yeah, I wish every play gave me that face from Stu that he's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why are you playing that shit? And I'm like, yeah, that means we're in a good spot. So we moved up the show time, so YouTube Play of the Day will come out after. But, yeah, we came in a little early. Happy at 15 of you guys are in here in the first couple minutes already. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Breaking news already. T. Higgins just got ruled out. Robert Williams is undergoing season-ending knee surgery now. So all this news coming out right while we're on stream here. So no T. Higgins. I really would like to see some injury updates on Jamar Chase. Give me that game props, bro. I need them because I need to lock in some bets in that game because that's going to be a fun one.
I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into it already, but that's my big screen game of the week for this week right here. I mean, we've seen the Bengals have this crazy turnaround. Now we have CJ Stroud coming off best performance of the season, one of the best rookie performances we've seen in a long time. To me, that's a spectacular game. And I don't know about you. Most of the time when I pick these games, I do have a strong take on the side. I don't even really have a strong take. Like, I don't lean either way. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be a good game. I think you can make very strong arguments for either side. But definitely my big screen game of the week. Super pumped to see, how the Texans kind of build off of that momentum from last week.
Dude, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I want to watch your Washington Commanders, dude. I want to watch that game, bro. I want to, dude. For me, it's more fantasy implications. With Kenneth Walker, I'm curious what's going to happen here in a positive game script. We've seen multiple games in a row now with terrible game script for them, and you've seen Charbonnet take over 50% of carries. I'm looking at that. Ton of Jahan Dotson exposure in best ball. Looking at that. Sam Howell kind of looking his way a little bit more. So for me, it's not like I actually want to, you picked the game I was going to pick anyway. So I'm like, I'd rather go to something else. And there's a lot of these games I don't even want to watch, bro. Like there's a couple, like, I don't want to watch the Packers. I don't want to watch my Packers play. I'm going to end up watching it, but I don't want to. It's going to hurt. And you tell me I want to watch Atlanta, Arizona? Fuck no, I don't want to watch that. Like there's not that many that I like in this week. Obviously you can go Detroit Chargers, but for me, I think I have a little bit more exposure in those games. And I think for that purpose, I want to watch that game. Curious if that Washington Commanders defense is really as bad as advertised here, and if Kenneth Walker just going to go all nuclear on them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think just a little spoiler alert, it probably won't be a heavy play. I think I'm playing David Mayo tackles and assists on the Commanders. If you're a Commanders fan out there, it's this big, white, slow linebacker out there. It looks like an absolute dud, and he probably is a dud. But just like you said, Charbonnet's been running a lot more. Walker's been running a lot. It feels like one of these games where the Seahawks run like 25 times. So just a little random backup linebacker spot I wanted to shout out right there, a guy that I think is going to step up and, get those tackles and assists this week. But I agree, it could be a good one. The biggest concern for me as a Washington fan is the Seahawks have been running a lot of zone recently, and Sam Howell has not been good against zone so far. The splits are pretty, distinct so far this season. But like you said, Dotson actually improving and playing better recently has been a huge sign of progression. We needed that. Where was that all year? If only we could stop throwing the ball to Diami Brown, Byron Pringle, and Jamison Crowder. No other team in the league does this except the Chiefs. And if you haven't noticed, we're not the Chiefs. I don't know why Bieniemy thinks we can rotate these wide. We pick these guys up off the street, right? Byron Pringle and Jamison Crowder were free agent signings that nobody else wanted before camp. Why are you rotating Terry McLaurin out snaps for them? It doesn't make any sense. Patrick Mahomes isn't throwing the passes. He doesn't just make people open. You know what I'm saying? So if we could just chill out on that, please, EB. I hope you're listening right now. It's frustrating. I can only see Diami Brown drop so many amazing deep balls. Throw it to fucking Terry, okay? Let's go. Or Dotson at that point. Shit.
Yeah, Dotson's looking nice, man. These last couple of weeks have been nice to see. This is something crazy. I know you talked about that Cincy game. Just to bring back to DraftKings here. CJ Stroud is officially more expensive than Joe Burrow. I would not expect that to be happening. He's officially $100 more expensive, and obviously the same game environment. Yeah. Obviously a little bit of you should see positive game script for the passing game there. But for me, how can you do that, right? Especially now that you see Joe Burrow fully healthy, Joe Burrow being able to use the passing game as their run game because Joe Mixon is hot trash. That dude is garbage, dude. I don't care. Every time I say his name, I'll tell you he's garbage because he is. So I just don't understand how that pricing goes there. Obviously, the huge week is probably just the recency bias there. But my God, that seems a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think recency bias is probably the answer. We talk about it a lot on the show. The only other thing I can think is game script too, right? The 6.5 spread right there kind of indicates that most books think that the Texans are going to be trailing throughout this game. I don't think that's the case.
I don't think that's that crazy to think Houston staying in this one, like, and cooking. I think that they're going to be able to move the ball on this defense pretty handily. Obviously, we know their defense has showed out these last couple of weeks in Cincinnati, but they got a lot of fucking weapons on Houston, man. They got a lot of weapons out there, and we've seen this Cincinnati secondary get beat a little bit. So I think it'll be good for both sides, but I think this game stays close enough that we could see both sides shoot out a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is I feel like if you just bet on underrated defensive coordinators, you'd probably be doing pretty well. And Lou Amarillo over there in Cincinnati is one of the best in football. He's one of the few guys that I would, very much trust against these young quarterbacks, right? As a guy that you want to strictly avoid, right? I mean, I think McDonald over at the Ravens is now in that conversation with how dominant they've been so far this season. There are just a couple teams I don't want to pick on with young quarterbacks. And even though the Bengals personnel isn't extremely talented, the coaching and the scheme has been very, very strong so far this season, especially with the rush defense finally looking a little bit better. They were terrible in the beginning of the season right there. And now you kind of combine that with the fact that this is the worst DVOA rush offense in football, right? Dameon Pierce is getting nothing done. I don't know if I can even blame it on him, but it's been so bad that you've got to think it's even more than him. It's probably a run blocking scheme, right? The pass blocking must hold up a lot more. The final thing I'll say too, last week, they posted the highest rate of throwing on first down. They threw on 60% of first downs last week, which was the highest mark in the league, right after they talked about in their press conference needing to kind of play to their strengths more and do what they're good at. So for me, that's the kind of coach speak that matters a lot to me, because you finally see them be extremely successful last week, and it lines up exactly with what the coach has been saying before the week. So I do see a kind of reason why Stroud is that priced up. But I also understand, the recency bias is a big part of that as well.
Yeah, and just play devil's advocate here. You're going to have no T. Higgins too. I think that just condenses targets, right? That's what we want, right? Yeah. In DFS, right? You want those condensed targets. You got 3 dudes that are getting the ball this week, right? Obviously, I think Irv Smith officially going to be chalked now this week. Dudes would be cheap as hell. He's getting a little bit more involved in this offense, which you've been seeing throughout the years with Burrow having those types of guys in there. So really excited for that game. But let's get to some dogs. I know. Let's take a look. I do not remember last week's dogs. Let's take a look. I got to take a look back here.
Did we skip the dogs last week?
I think we did, because I don't think we liked any because there were so many buys.
Exactly. I believe we skipped it. Although I don't remember, I gave out a lean and it did hit. So go back and check and give me credit. I do want to take the credit. I don't remember what it was for, but I will still take the credit. One thing I can tell you we are not taking this week is the fucking Giants. That will not be anyone's dog.
17, dude.
Or sorry, are you interested? Am I speaking?
No, I'm not, dude. It's just like I don't want to have to rip my eyes out. That's clearly what's going to end up happening.
I took the Cowboys 16. I have that ticket already. I think they cover 16. I think they cover 17. I would probably take it to 19 and a half, honestly.
Those are the fun ones, though, right? The full ladders up like that.
The problem is prop ladders give you great odds and they spoil you. When you go to the spread ladders, it's like you move up 18 points and they give you plus 240. You know what I mean? They don't love to give you the good odds on those. Yeah. But that's what it is at the end.
What are we rolling with, Stu? I think we might have the same one.
I don't think we have the same one.
Okay, let's go.
I don't even like what I'm on this week. I'm gonna take the Browns again. They've done the job for me before. I'm seeing,
correct?
Yeah, I'm seeing. I got the 7. You know what I'm saying? I do an opening line show. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna take credit for that.
DraftKings at 6.5 right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take credit for that. I want to let the people know. But okay, interesting. Vikings scares me.
I will fade Derek Carr to oblivion.
It makes too much sense. For me, I like the Browns this week. It's going to be a defensive-minded matchup. I hate pulling the trigger. You never bet the Browns and you feel good about it, right? It's never one of those things. Division game, these teams play each other close. We've got our quarterback back. It looks like he's got a little zip on the ball finally, which hasn't been there all season long, which is a big deal. To me, I almost bet Amari Cooper on the show too. Probably one of the worst matchups in football, but I know he's going to catch that longest reception this week. So stay tuned in a little later in the week. But I think the Browns can stay competitive. We know it's going to be off the backs of their defense if they stay alive. The question the Ravens need to answer, and honestly for me, it's the same question the Eagles need to answer. How do you win when you're behind? Are these the kind of teams that when you're playing an elite defense in the playoffs, can you come from behind and win? I still don't know. Lamar has never answered that question once for me. And kind of same thing with hurts a little bit, a little touchy there. I know people are going to be mad at that. But for me, at the end of the day, if the Browns can get that early lead, if they can at least control the pace, they can keep this a reasonable game, then that defense opens up everything. Lamar Jackson historically does struggle under pressure. It's one of those things that been on the defense to keep it close. I'm hoping maybe they grab an early lead and this Baltimore, offense just can't battle back. But I think the cover's in play either way.
Yeah, no, I like that. I do actually like that quite a bit. I've been really disappointed in Zay Flowers these last couple of weeks. Obviously, they haven't really needed him, but he's really not even getting open, even in his opportunities there. So I know everybody he was a darling early in the season. Obviously, had a couple huge games, but even like these last two, right? I feel like Arizona, it was only a 7-point game, man. Right? It's only a 7-point game. This man was averaging almost 4 yards a pop. A catch, really, from an explosive guy like that, like 5 for 19 and 1 for 11. That's going to get fantasy owners to throw your ass on the bench. So, all you're really worried about is Mark Andrews in the passing game. And dude, the Browns are so athletic on defense. They're so fast, dude. There's a hole and it's closed immediately. Like they're so good at controlling that running game, and I'm really excited to see this running game go against it. And I know what's his face. I know you know the name I'm talking about, the undrafted running back or whatever, the back that just goes crazy. Number 1 running back score last week was the Ravens. Third stringer? Remember what's his last name?
Keaton Mitchell. Dude.
So it's just wild to me that they're going to now rotate. Right? They said they're going to rotate through. I don't see any of them really having supreme success against this defense, because if I'm them, I'm wanting Lamar to beat me, right? And he hasn't really played well against the Browns historically, and this might be the best version of the Browns defense in the last couple of years. So I think it's going to be a fun one. I'd be curious, what would you put this line at in a neutral site game? Because I think that 3 points here is definitely from the home side, because I would not give him 7 if this is just a neutral game.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think the 7 either. I disagree. I mean, it's these divisional teams, man. They beat each other up like no matter where it is, to be completely honest. I know obviously we like the home field advantage, stuff like that, but at the end of the day, especially when you have data that goes so far back in these rivalries, I'd much rather bet on these defenses to keep it close.
No, for sure. I'm gonna go Vikings. I think I just kind of talked about why I like it. I like that they're at home here. I do like that they're going to be in that dome. They play significantly better there. Obviously, I know a lot of that's with Kirk Cousins, but man, I think we're gonna see Dobbs show out again. I think that he fits the personnel that these guys have. I'm curious what happens when Jetta comes back, if that's going to be the case. But I mean, he was doing that with 2 dudes last week, just pretty much feeding Addison and feeding Hawkinson. Right? I was not impressed with the running game at all, right? Obviously, Cam Akers goes out, and that's huge. But Madison is so inefficient in his carries. Like, give Ty Chandler some chances here. Like, give him some chances in, like, the dump-off passing game. Because I think, dude, I could see them throwing the ball 65% of the time when Jay Jetta gets back. Because this is, like, you don't have a backup that you're really wanting to use. You can use Ty Chandler as that passing back because, like I said, Madison's been so bad. But I think this offense can score some points here. I will never bet on Derek Carr ever again. I will never bet on him. I won't even trust him for Olave anymore because I had Olave last week. He cashed the 40 yards I needed. But my God, dude. Like, I don't understand how they're going to allow, like, what? It's a 40-point total. I don't understand how they think that they're going to score that much. Like, I don't trust this offense to score 21 points. Like, if you're the Vikings, you literally send eyes on Kamara. That's it. Focus on Kamara. Make Derek Carr beat you because he can't beat you more than 10 yards down the field. His deep ball is fucking trash, and I think Joshua Dobbs going crazy today. I think he's going crazy.
Have we heard an update on Justin Jefferson? Is he like? I know he's activated.
Practicing now. He's like the same thing as James Conner. They got in the activation thing, haven't really come out and said, "Hey, we're playing you." But I think obviously O'Connell wants to have them ready. But dude, the Vikings, I did not think they were going to stay afloat enough for Jefferson to want to come back in. But man, shout out them, man. Shout out these NFC North teams that are just absolute dog shit, and they're finding a way. They're just finding a way to stick around, and It's not what I was expecting.
And to another point to this as well, is Flores has been extremely aggressive in the blitz front on the defensive side of the ball. Derek Carr has been awful under pressure, absolutely awful. How are you going to get those deeper developing plays, right? Those are kind of what bails him out, right? If you don't have time in the pocket, like David said, Derek Carr throws the ugliest deep ball in football. There is data to back that up too. On throws of 30 yards or more so far this season, he has the lowest completion percentage and the lowest completion percentage over expectation in the league, which means it's not just guys dropping him the ball. Also, one more, he's got the highest uncatchable pass percentage on passes of 20 or more downfield. It's not even just the 30 range, but he can't even get it past the 20-yard line. So it's been rough so far this season. For me, my only argument to this is Minnesota has been my favorite teaser leg this week. I aggressively attack them on teasers. I just don't like that 3 because at the end of the day, I still really struggle to see Minnesota moving the ball on offense. I know what Dobbs did was amazing last week, but this Saints defense on the other side is still very solid. They're good at doing the little things right. They're great against the tight end. They're great against the run. We know Madison's not going to get anything done. It's one of those things where I'm just a little bit worried on Minnesota on the offensive side of the ball. And, but covering a big number is not something I ever want Derek Carr to do. So my only recommendation, I attack them aggressively on teasers this week. That was my way of getting away from Derek Carr.
Good looks. Z-Man talking about Jags. It's tough for me to want to bet dogs in those huge games, like those big games where everybody's watching them. It's like, especially when I think they're pretty evenly matched here. I actually really like that game. I know we're going to talk about it here shortly. So I guess that might as well lead us right into your play, and we'll let you go there. Obviously, fan of mine. Obviously, bet this guy way too much, but happy that you're jumping on the train.
Yeah, we're going Evan Ingram over 5.5 catches plus 110 over on BetMGM. Little rant, man. This got hammered right before we went on the show. Luckily, MGM still has this. This was like 130 everywhere across the board. And right before the show, some group, I don't know what Discord or Syndicate or whatever, across the board line movement on every single books. Hey, what are we laughing at?
I just love that you use the word syndicate.
They call themselves that, not me, okay? I knew you were laughing at that too when I said it right there.
I love that you use that word, dude.
I would never be corny enough to call myself a syndicate, but people do that in the gambling world. That's what they call themselves. The point is, they kind of fucked my number a little bit, but we still do have plus money across the board over on BetMGM. And that's what I do. I'd play it to minus 110. I probably wouldn't play it any farther with juice. I don't want to go up to the minus 120, minus 130 range right here. So I like it at even money or better, or I guess minus 110 or better right here. We're going Evan Ingram against the 49ers defense. When I thought about this game, when I thought about this week, this was my number one pick of the week, no doubt about it right here. Evan Ingram does everything perfectly that I want someone to do when attacking this 49ers defense. I feel like a broken record at this point, coming in here fading the 49ers defense. And I say the same thing every time. It's a phenomenal defense. It's not like we're taking advantage of some bad team. We're taking advantage of the scheme that they run. They keep everything in front of them. They're very good at limiting explosive plays, allowing the fewest explosive plays in football so far this season. They just want you to slowly march down the field. They want you to control the pace of the game, and they want to test you in the red zone when it really matters. And that's where teams crumble, and that's why the 49ers are so good, because then when they get the ball back and they slowly move down the field, CMC does punch it in, and that's why they're favored in this game, and that's why they're so good overall. Evan Ingram is the perfect guy to counter that. We talked about him so much this season. He is a tight-ended name. The guy's practically a wide receiver. He's never blocked a day in his life. Now he's running back routes. We don't even have to do these he's the safety blanket dump off Alexander Madison kind of routes. It's kind of crazy to watch. I mean, he does get downfield sometimes, but when you look at his longest reception mark so far this season, almost every single one of those is on a 4-yard pass with 26 yards of yak after. Like, these are not like down the field deep routes. That's exactly what we want for the receptions market, right? We want easy, high percentage passes that we can convert quickly over the middle. Yes, I know this 49ers linebacker core is very strong. They're a very speedy group. That's why I did not want to play yards right here. They're very good at staying in front of opposing teams. But to me, schematically, right, we're not looking at Ingram as your average tight end when you compare DVOA numbers, because he's running an extremely high slot rate. He is essentially a mega slot wide receiver out of there a lot of the times, running high percentage routes, sub 10 air yards, That's what I want against this Niners defense, baby. They're going to force them into long drives. The Jacksonville offense is going to do that. When we look at the outside wide receivers, much tougher matchups. The real question mark is ETN right here. If ETN actually can play as well he's been playing, then that would be interesting. I don't expect him to. I think this 49ers rush defense is obviously very good. And adding Chase Young, a great pass rusher who's had experience being very strong on the rush game, should help there as well. So for me, ETN is a little bit of a wild card. I'm curious to see how he performs. I think this is kind of his toughest matchup of the season right here. But either way, whether they're able to establish the run or not, I think Ingram is going to be incredibly involved in that short passing game, especially when they're trailing in this one.
I love it. I'll never be opposed to Mr. Evan Ingram. Some guy I am opposed to, and that's Arthur Smith. I'm going back to it. I don't give a shit. You're giving me it at this price. I can't pass him up. I'm going to play Bijan Robinson. This is either going to blow up in my face or I'm going to look smart as hell, man. One of the two. Dude, I just can't. Okay, let me just take my deep breaths before I start talking about this, because obviously, as both of us are Bijan fantasy owners, this is a very frustrating topic for us. 11 carries last 2 weeks, hit this number against Tennessee, which is actually very, very impressive. I just look at the analytics of these two running backs, right? Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, right? I know you mentioned to me he hasn't had over 4 yards per carry in any game. That's wild. That's absolutely crazy. Seeing as Bijan had 6.5, 5.6. I mean, even against Tennessee, 5.6, right? That's impressive. Jacksonville, 7.5, right? This dude is electric. But also, Tyler Algier is so slow, bro. Like, he is so slow compared to Bijan Robinson. The reason why I bring that up is yards before contact this year, right? In attempts, Tyler Algier has more attempts, right? He has more attempts than Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson has double the amount of yards before contact. That's because he's fast and he actually hits the hole, right? He's getting to those spots before these guys even have a chance to touch him, right? Dude, 116 carries for Tyler Algier. He has 155 yards before contact. That is absurd. That is like literally crazy. I looked at that. That's nuts. 342 for Bijan Robinson on 103 carries. That's just something I couldn't look past. You look at big rush plays. Let's go 10 plus, right? 16-8, right? I mean, like, it's crazy to me, like how Bijan Robinson isn't getting these rushes. You look at the guys that he's playing against. They're playing against Arizona. And for me, I even cut down the bell cow backs. I cut their numbers in half just because I knew that, we're going to have to deal with the Bijan split, right? Let's go to the matchup so far with for Arizona, right? They allowed 150 yards to Kyren Williams, right? They gave up 120 to Kenneth Walker. Even if you cut that in half, right? Those are 20 carries for those guys. Cut them in half and let's go 13 carries. If you give Bijan 13 carries, smash, right? He's smashing this number, right? And that's the thing. I have to cut these numbers in half because it's literally like it's absurd that we even have to think about it. But he's still getting to those numbers, even half of those guys' numbers. I'm going with the guys that have gotten torched this year. You look at these last couple games for Arizona. I don't think that either one of these teams have been trying to run the ball. They're just using it just to set up play action. I think that was in the Minnesota game as well. Hopefully, we can have a little bit more competitive game with Kyler supposedly coming back, right? So we could start seeing a little bit closer games. And obviously, Lamar hit this number if you want to go down that way. I'm not even going to go into the Joe Mixon because I don't want to talk about it. But Bijan Robinson, fantastic matchup. Just give him the ball. I'll take 13 carries at this point. Like, literally, it'll give me 13 carries and I'll be happy. That is what my number I'm bringing him down to. Just give him 13 carries. Give the guy the ball once or twice, right? I also wanted to talk about just a little bit what his longest rush, 13.5. Don't hate that. Yeah. I want to see where his rush attempts is because I might just bet the under, bro. I might just bet the under just to hedge myself because I've done that multiple weeks this year, and it's worked out when I've just been pissed that he's not getting the ball. But I'm hoping we see it like 12.5, and hopefully Arthur Smith looks at the numbers and say, hey, that's where we want to be. So I'm gonna do this. I don't like Taylor Heineke, so take the receiving yards out.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, in my opinion, drafting a running back where you draft Bijan is not a wise decision, right? Just with replacement value in the NFL. But if there's one running back in these last couple of drafts, over these last 10 years that I could really understand, it's Bijan Robinson. And anyone that watched this guy at Texas like knows what I'm talking about. Like at Texas, he looked like Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey had a baby. Like he was bigger than everyone else and faster. And to see that speed transitioned at the next level out the gate, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. Like it's so clear. The one-handed catches, and then we just don't see him touch the ball more than 12 times a game, like is a fireable offense, right? When you draft a player that high, the goal is to make your offense around that team. And the worst part is, they're second in pass rate over expectation, or second worst in the league. So they do run the ball a lot, just not with the first round pick. It doesn't make any sense. And like you said, it hasn't been working. Just reading Algiers' yards per carry week after week is embarrassing. 3.8, 3.3, 2.8, 2.4, 3.0, 2.5. This is pathetic, right? He went over 4 once this season. It was week 1, and he has not done that since then. There is no reason why Bijan shouldn't touch the ball 17 times a game. It's just one of those things that, like, I just get scared with non-guaranteed volume props. That's why I like the longest reception, the longest completion. That's kind of my pivot away from the volume stuff, because Bijan is so good. It's just one of those things. The other thing I'd say too is, I could say this every week, but if you're playing this, you got to get a little down on 100, right? We know one of these weeks is going to go down where we're going to be right, and he finally does get the 17, 18 carries. And we know that because Algiers done it 3 times this season. So it's not like it's impossible. Once the breakout comes, he's going to go for like 150. So you don't want to miss that, especially if the 55. I don't know what the long shot odds are. Yeah, I don't know if I'm stepping on your toes right there at all for later, but I do like the 100 yards as well.
Yeah, no, I like the shout there. And I think just the amount of people asking him about it, I think he's kind of got to think about it a little bit more here. Obviously, it's been brought up a lot, and it's been the talk of the fantasy world, talk of reporters now even asking him. But also, you see a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs get 25 touches, right? Does it that, it's a rookie doing the same thing. He's enough into the offense, integrated there. And I guess you could say Algiers Montgomery in this situation, even though he's absolute ass. And Montgomery's good. But my God, Taylor Heineke checked down the ball too. My God, I don't want to watch you throw a damn pick again, lose a game, bro. All right, that's all I need to say. David talking about Arthur Smith gonna be destroying television. Dude, I've told you, man, it's bad. It's bad. So hopefully he listens, and I see the guy that you're playing in the next play was the menace that took down Atlanta last week. Good little transition over to you here.
Sounds good. We're going to be going over to Joshua Dobbs. You spelled his name wrong. 2B is not a U in there, not me. Once again, got to give you.
Oh, it's Romeo. That's how Romeo spells.
No, because I did it as well, almost in my article earlier. That's why it's on the top of my.
I was like, oh, that's how Romeo spells. I'm like,
hey, I'm just saying, I've gotten strays from typos before. Like, guys, I don't type it. Okay, I don't want to catch the. There are enough reasons why you can shit on me on the show. I don't need that one. Okay, we won't go over the list right now. We're gonna go over one of my favorite props of the week right here. Joshua Dobbs, over 12.5 longest rush, minus 120. You can find this over on DraftKings Sportsbook. And I know FanDuel will probably have it at like 11.5 on Sunday morning. So if that's an option as well, I'll probably double up. But we don't know what FanDuel's doing yet. And they don't have, jack shit for lines right now. So unfortunately can't shop it. Like,
yeah, dude, I'm pissed at them too.
As someone that plays this longest reception, though, FanDuel always just loves to drop them one lower. You know what I mean? But you just have to wait so deep in the week. And honestly, I don't even think this 12.5 is going to stick for that much longer. So I just had to pull the trigger and get it out the way. He cashed this already in week 1 with a 22-yard run. His first game, he actually cashed it multiple times in that game. What I love, one, seeing a quarterback go for that extra yak, right? Don't immediately step out of bounds, break the tackle. You never see that really with a non-like elite mobile quarterback. And we actually did see him fighting for those extra yards. Mobile quarterbacks have been surprisingly awesome against the Saints so far this year. There's a strong correlation between heavy man coverage teams, right? And these quarterbacks having these explosive runs. And it's a very obvious reason, right? You can look at all these data and graphs and it makes it seem complicated. But at the end of the day, when you're playing a heavy man coverage scheme, the cornerbacks are very concentrated on winning their 1-on-1 matchups. And there's nowhere near as much support to hold down the QB, unless you have a spy, of course. The real question is, are you spying Joshua Dobbs? Because that's not really a strategy. Most teams have been doing that aggressively so far this season. And that's really because he's not like an elite running quarterback. He's just a solid opportunistic runner. And what I like about this matchup right here is, like I said earlier, I struggle to see how the Vikings move the ball. At the end of the day, 5th overall rush DVOA defense. And we've talked about Alexander Mattison at length and his struggle so far this year. Same with Cam Akers. Obviously, heal up. Never like to see an injury like that, especially when you've already gone through it before. But I think Ty Chandler, like you said, will be I believe the rotational back involved, a pass catcher, never shown anything on the ground. I don't see them being able to move it there. Jefferson is an interesting piece. That would obviously be the biggest addition. But to me, if he does play, it doesn't seem like it'll be at 100%. I'm not sure. 100% Justin Jefferson does change this game a little bit. The good news, though, is I would say I would play it with or without Jefferson, because Jefferson playing means the safeties and the linebackers suddenly have to respect that deep playability, and that really opens up the field, which is honestly my number one concern for this prop, and what settled my number one concern, right? Because for me, when I'm worried about an offense not working, I'm starting to worry, okay, so this is right, a 7-3 game at halftime, right? We're not seeing any offensive production. I'm starting to worry that those safeties creep in, right? And they play really close and we kill those explosive plays. That was my single biggest worry for this play. So theoretically, Justin Jefferson could help that. I'm not planning on that though. My current view of this game, I still see Jordan Addison losing a lot on the outside against Lattimore. Extremely tough matchup, especially for a rookie. And I see Osborne doing the same old Osborne thing. 4 for 45. If he plays. Exactly. So it's one of those situations where there's so much production that needs to be made up for right here. And when I look at it, okay, I'm worried about the safeties coming in. That is my biggest concern. Tyson Badgett answered that concern last week. Lowest quarterback ADOT of the season, lowest QB ADOT of a quarterback winning a game in like the last 15 years last week or something like that, right? This is a guy that is the complete answer to that. He does not throw the ball down the field ever, and he still went off for 70 rush yards, hit this number twice as well. When we look at other mobile quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence hit this number over earlier in the year. Jordan Love hit this number even before he was running that much, still had a 30-yard run in this one. We see Russian quarterbacks have a lot of explosive runs specifically in this one. I love Joshua Dobbs, and honestly, hey, the more I said that, the better it sounded to me. Now, this might have to be a 2-unit by the end of the week. I'm hoping I can double up on a slightly better line on FanDuel, but if that doesn't happen, this might have to be a 1.5 kind of unit play, because I really do think he breaks one, especially with everything we've seen over these last couple weeks.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Would you take his actual rushing prop?
I would, but man, the thing is, that was my original plan for the play, but I was banking on 25, right? Because it's been 22, 23 these last couple weeks, and I've even thought that was a little high. Seeing 28 was kind of shocking. I can check again. I don't know if it's gotten any better since the 28 number, but that to me was just a little bit higher than I wanted to go. Okay, 27 I'm seeing available now. I don't hate it. I would just prefer that 25 number, right? Like once they drop the alt lines, especially on FanDuel, you might be able to get 25 for like minus 130. I think I'd rather kind of go that direction right there.
Yeah, I know it would be a question. I know people are going to ask that in here. That's usually what happens when we play longest reception, longest complete. Would you take it there? Yeah, and that's something I definitely want to make sure I get that out of the way, because we've been doing this long enough. We know what you guys are going to ask. So, yeah, you talked about moving to a 2-unit on that. I got a 1.5 at plus money that I'm rolling with here. Baker, baby. It's Baker time. It's he's taking over the GOAT Geno role of being a GOAT for us, and that is going to be Baker Mayfield. Placing off against Tennessee, obviously extremely low total. Doesn't scare me at all, honestly. What I was a little afraid of was Rachaad White just going berserk on the ground last week, but significantly harder matchup for him on the rushing portion of his game, right? Facing off against Tennessee, who was very good against the run, terrible against the pass. I think they've allowed the third most fantasy points to wide receivers, and they've actually, I think, allowed bottom 5 in touchdowns to wide receivers. That's how many yards and receptions are going to these outside guys. when you have a healthy Mike Evans, healthy Chris Godwin, makes this a lot easier for you. What I also like is Cade Otton's getting a little bit more involved in those underneath passes. But, dude, 34 targets this year for Rachaad White, 33 receptions. That's what I love to see. Baker Mayfield doing those drop-offs is what I want to see all game here. I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to have to pass the ball. They're smart enough to just be, hey, this is not working, right? We do not run block well. We are very inefficient against on EPA per play on the ground. Just throw it, right? Just what you said with CJ Stroud. Exactly. Same thing. But I also want to talk about Baker Mayfield. And again, I talk about this all the time, reading the book and what the book's giving you, right? The book is giving me on DraftKings 32.5 pass attempts at minus 135 for Baker Mayfield. He's done that 6 times this year and hit it 4 out of those 6 times. One of those games, they were getting absolutely bludgeoned by the Detroit Lions where they're just running the ball down the field the whole time. So that one, yeah, I guess a little bit there, right? The other one was the first game of the season against Minnesota Vikings, first start, right? He had a couple plays in there where he probably should have completed the passes. I talked about that one on just missing open guys, right? It's his first start for this new team. Give him a little bit of pass. So then if you take those 2 out, that's 4 for 4, and he's clearing it pretty easily. I think FanDuel has the right spot. I think FanDuel at 23.5 minus 115. That's where I would have put it. I think that's pretty good. You're going to give me this on DraftKings at plus money, dude? This is absurd to me. I don't know why I'm getting this. I'm literally going to pull up my screen and show it to you guys so you guys see I am not messing around with you guys because it doesn't make sense. Look at this. It's sitting right there. Over 22.5 at plus 100 is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. I'll be rolling with Baker. Obviously, Godwin around those 10 yards per air yards per attempt. You got the deep guy down the field and Mike Evans if you want it. But I love the Cade Otton and I love Rachaad White underneath. Dump it off. Do what Bryce Young did yesterday. Throw it 3 yards a pass and just collect these completions, man, because Baker's actually been very, very good on that. Obviously, his QBR. His QBR is not good, but what I'm saying, like, he's been really good at not taking those sacks in those situations, right? He's dumping them off. I think he's only taken 13 sacks this year, which is something that I thought would be significantly higher, especially with this offensive line. But yeah, only 13 sacks. Obviously, the last couple of weeks where he's throwing the ball 40 times are going to raise those up. He got 3 sacks in 2 of those last 3. So I really like this spot for Baker. Dump it off to Godwin. Dump it off to Rachaad White, baby. It's that time.
I completely agree. I mean, when you mentioned Baker as your play right before the show, this is one of the few games I haven't got super deep into yet. I kind of looked at Levis for a sec, but overall I hadn't. So I was kind of like, okay, whatever, Baker 22.5. That's like his normal line to me. But in my opinion, you should not have your normal line as a quarterback against the Titans, right? Especially a guy like Baker on a team that can't run the ball. And even Todd Bowles essentially gave up 2 weeks ago. I didn't give up. In the press conference, he was like, when we can't run the ball, we're going to get Rachaad the ball in short passing instead, which is what we've been saying for the last 2.5 years. I mean, Leonard Fournette did it first, then Rachaad White even came in and did it as a backup, and now we're seeing it happen again. It's very simple. Get these guys the ball fast, open space, move down the field, right? You can't run the ball, so you've got to supplement that with this short passing game. And like you mentioned, Godwin is phenomenal for that. Evans stretches the field. Could the guy stop dropping balls? I mean, I know he's not getting any flack because nobody watches these games, but Evans has fucking sucked over these last couple weeks. Like, god damn. I bet his longest reception a couple weeks back. And it obviously flopped after a couple of drops in that one. And I was thinking, okay, that's a one-off. And I started watching them more and watching out for him. And he's dropping them all the time. And I haven't even gone back, right? So that's my one concern. We need a little regression right there, Mike. But overall, that's not the guy we're actually really betting on here, right? It's most of these underneath kind of targets.
Yeah, one other thing I did want to mention is Will Levis being out there, man. They're throwing the ball deep, right? Yep. A lot of times, last couple of years, you're worried about Tennessee just holding that ball, running 2-3 yards a pop. Right? I love the big playability of this Tennessee team. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as effectively as they usually do. Tampa Bay, dude, as long as Vita Vea is in the middle, man, I don't care who you put around him. That dude is just an absolute wrecking crew, one-man wrecking crew. So if he's healthy and we're ready to roll with him, I'm fine with just thinking we might get, still get that 18 carries for Derrick Henry, but I'm worried about when he gets the 30 carries for like 140 yards, just those 4 yards a pop, and they just keep getting first downs and just destroying the clock like the Eagles used to do at the beginning of the year, right? this one's going to be a tough time to do that, right? Trying to run up the middle with Derrick Henry and try to eat up the clock like that. I don't think that's going to be as effective. And having a gunslinger type of guy like Levis throw that ball down the field, I think definitely could get more possessions than you usually do against the Titans.
Oh, yeah, that opens up plays that were never in the playbook before, right? And, yeah, like you said, those fast, quick strike possessions are what we need. And, honestly, the book is respecting them because if you ask me to make this line, I'm going Bucks 3, maybe Bucks 3.5, and it's 1. So, to me, that's a little bit of an indication that there's clear respect for that new kind of system, I guess, which maybe I'm not giving them quite yet.
Perfect. I don't think we have any questions in there. We got 30 of you guys in here, though. Thank you guys for coming in at the impromptu time. That is 11 o'clock Central. Yeah, we always appreciate all you guys making the adjustment when we're moving it around. So thank you. Let's get a recap in here for you, and then we'll get to some long shots.
Sounds good. We're starting right here. We're going Evan Ingram over 5.5 catches. Plus 110 over on BetMGM. Then we got Joshua Dobbs, longest rush over 12.5, minus 120 over on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Beautiful. I'll be playing Bijan Robinson over 55.5 rushing yards and Baker Mayfield at 1.5 units at plus money at 22.5 completions. 2-0 on the last show. Guys, we're coming at you. Hopefully getting another sweep here. Stu, where are you going for these long shots? I know I'm going to be kind of pissed with not having the people I want for my long shots right now, but what do you got for the people here?
That's what I was going to say. Like even for like building touchdown parlays, I mean, you want
to just post it underneath the video later because that's what that's what I might do because my biggest guy that I want is not there right now.
Well, I'm down for that too because both of our biggest long shots are not there as well. I have a couple of receptions ladders that I want to play. I know you have a couple of receptions ladders that you want to play, and neither of them are currently available on DraftKings. But I will shout right now a little touchdown parlay that I did make earlier today. To me, it was just two guys that did not seem correctly priced, and so I parlayed them together. Pretty simple as that. We got Jake Ferguson to score a touchdown, and we got David Montgomery to score a touchdown, and that's plus 500 right now on FanDuel Sportsbook. We don't know how David Montgomery is going to play this week. That could very easily be avoided, right? But if David Montgomery plays 1 snap, it's going to be a red zone snap. If David Montgomery plays 5 snaps, it's going to be some red zone snaps. If he's out there at all, he's going to be out there to punch it in because that is exactly what he's done so far this season. So I'm not sure what the workload for a guy like David Montgomery is coming back, but I do know is that I see what do you call it? I see not a blowout, the opposite of blowout. I see offense in this game. I see a shootout. There we go. This is one of the few games that I bet an over on so far this year. I've been pretty much exclusively betting unders on totals, and it's been doing very well for me. But I see a lot of offense in this one. I think the Lions won't be able to stop what the Chargers do well. And the Lions also just happen to play the best coverage schemes that Herbert is against, right, in his career. So I like to see that. I see a shootout in this one. Monty is a guy that always sticks out to me. And, hey, we're going to keep on running the Ferguson train. Also, if you guys want a backup tight end this week, I've got 2 backup tight ends, Hendershot and Drew Sample. Those are my 2 backup tight ends of the week. I would be careful with how much you put on those. But, hey, just you were bringing up Irv Smith earlier, and it took everything in my soul to not come up and mention that Drew Sample was going to be one of my touchdown picks this week. Highest run blocking grade in the league out of any PFF player, allowing 1 pressure on the season as well in pass protection. Those kind of players are invaluable. They sneak their way on the field. They get in there on the red zone when it matters the most, and they sneak in for a touchdown. The other guy, Peyton Hendershot, the backup to Ferguson as well, who got stuffed at the 1-yard line because that game might be so bad that the starters might be out at halftime. So maybe I need Hendershot, the other guy who looks exactly like Ferguson, to score a touchdown. But, man, this team has the highest red zone utilization rate for tight ends out of any team in the league. They're seeing more tight end targets than anyone. Dak has done this in the past. Dalton Schultz was the guy before. Ferguson's just the new name, a slightly budget version. Dollar store Dalton Schultz is what we'll call him. Plus 210 solo. I gave that out a week and plus 250 last time we were on the show. It should be 160. That should be Ferguson's price. So we're hammering both these guys, loving the 500 price.
Yeah, I got to throw my favorite one out there. He's not locked in yet, unfortunately, because there's no props out. Make sure you tune in underneath the video on Sunday. I'll try to drop it in the in the comment section. But I am looking for redemption here on this prop, and I'm going to do it in my Packers game. And I'm rolling with my boy Najee Harris. And I'm going to roll Najee Harris, the top rushing receiving yard combined in that Packers game. The Packers spread the ball out too much, bro. You're not going to see a guy pop off here. Christian Watson's going to be running 40, 50% of routes, maybe. And if he gets tackled, he's probably out of the game, right? Like literally, if he gets tackled at all, he goes out. So there's that. You got Romeo Dobbs, Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, all fighting for these targets, and they've been doing pretty good, right? I mean, you look at last week, right? 20 completions, 3 to Musgrave, 4 to Wicks, 3 to Dobbs, 4 to Jones, 3 to Reed. Like, it's just spread out. So receiving-wise, not as worried. You're really just worried about Aaron Jones popping off, right? That's what you're worried about. Do I trust that Matt LaFleur is going to give him 20-plus opportunities in 2 weeks in a row? No, I don't. I truly don't think so, especially against this Pittsburgh front seven. I don't think they're going to. Without Bakhtiari, I'm not worried about that run game at all here, dude. I don't think they're going to run the ball well. They're going to make Jordan Love beat you. That's what they're going to do. And I got to see it happen. And we haven't had big plays since the first 3 weeks of the season, right? We haven't done. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers get ahead in this game, which I'm expecting them to do, right? I'm expecting them to get ahead early. If they get ahead early, it's going to be a heavy dose of Najee, heavy dose of Jalen Warren, and now it's just 1v1, in my opinion, fighting those two guys out, right? And if we're going to have a guy like Najee Harris, as big as he is, he's going to get those bell cow work, bro. This dude is getting touches. I know everybody at the beginning of the season hated him, right? Why is Jalen Warren not getting the ball? It's because Najee Harris is an absolute monster as a running back, bro. He's like 245 pounds, and he actually moves pretty damn well. I'm rolling with Najee here. Like I said, I don't think any of the pass catchers for Green Bay is going to pass him. And looking on the odds numbers, they don't have any Packer wide receiver in the top 6 of this. So you're not worried there. I think Deontay Johnson being back is fantastic. That takes away a lot of targets for George Pickens. You just saw Pickens do terrible in that primetime game. So now those two are fighting each other, taking targets. And guess what? Just give me a little dump off to Najee, baby. They're only listing his receiving yards at 8.5. I just need one to break off, right? I beat that number. His rushing prop is 50-something. I think that we could see a Najee Harris day here. I love the opportunity share last week. 4 targets, 16 rushes, 20 opportunities. And you give me 20 opportunities against this Packers defense. Swiss cheese, baby. Sign me up for Najee Harris.
Yeah, 460 is an interesting price. I mean, at first I kind of
that's the face I like. That's what I want.
I know it is. That's why I was gonna say my long shot originally was gonna be Deontay Johnson receptions ladder. That was what I was gonna go with. But honestly, the reason I like the receptions ladder is because I think it's gonna be one of those like 9 for 77 kind of games. You know what I mean? I don't see him dominating down the field because now we know their roles are back to what they were before. Pickens is running straight down and never getting the ball anymore, his old role from last season. And Deontay Johnson is going 7 yards at a time wide open and getting the ball over the middle of the field. You guys obviously lost your cornerback one of your best cornerbacks. Sorry, not your cornerback one. I know Jair's still there at the deadline a little while back. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I like Deontay, but I like Najee too. I mean, I think that's a solid. We were talking a little bit before the show. I think he's being undervalued in market. I think people are overvaluing Jalen Warren because they drafted him on their fantasy team or something like that. So 460 is definitely a very good price. What's Jones at? Just out of curiosity, is he like
he is number 1 and he is plus 220?
Yeah, because I completely agree with fading that. Like as a Jones fantasy owner these last 2 years, as a Packers fan on the other side right here, like. You just don't want to play that game. You've been burned too many times.
In a neutral game script, Aaron Jones is not getting 20 rushes, right? Not at all. You still saw 9 carries to A.J. Dillon, right? They still had our third string. Emmanuel Wilson got 4 carries, right? They will not allow this man to be the bell cow. They have not done it. I do not trust them. They're in Pittsburgh as well, dude. Yeah, we have seen Jordan Love struggle on the road, bro. Outside of when it's not in a dome, right? So, I really like this play, dude. I really want to roll with it, even though this is not my favorite long shot. My favorite long shot will be posted on the bottom and hopefully today. Hopefully they'll give it to me today, but sign me up for some Najee, baby. I like being on that island. Nobody wants to bet on Najee. I don't want to bet on Jalen Warren. Put me on that island. I like it out there.
No, I can't hit on you at all. Like I said, I had his receptions, which I think is going under the radar. By the way, guys, he's running more routes than Jalen Warren is. I don't know if people realize that because Jalen Warren's receptions number is a whole point higher. And I understand that Warren is doing like the 2-minute drills and stuff like that, which are, better for receptions. But it just feels like people are going off of their perception of this team rather than the reality, which is last year we saw a clear path of them easing in Najee and using him more and more throughout the season. It's the exact same bell curve so far this year. We obviously have yet to see where it goes by the end of this season, but I like this look. I agree.
I think it's absurd that they're giving Jalen Warren plus 550. That's crazy to me, dude. That is crazy to me, especially with the amount of workload going. Like, they're not getting the same amount of work. Like, I know everybody wants Jalen Warren to get the work, but where is it? Like, we haven't seen the coach do it. So why would I, just because I want it to happen, does that mean it's going to happen? Dude, if that happened, Bijan Robinson would be going 100% of the freaking game, bro. Right? Doesn't matter. Sign me up for Najee. And the Packers have been torched on the running back catches too. They've been getting torched there. So if we're getting a lot of those options there, a lot of those underneath routes, I don't care if the man has stone hands. He can have stone hands. Drop 3 of them. I don't care. The other 3 catch it.
Well, I was gonna say
he might get 6 targets.
He may not have the best hands in the world, but you can ask anyone. I called Leonard Fournette brick hands for 2 whole years when he came into the league. Every time I saw him, when he started with the Jags and we first went over, I called him brick hands every time. And he ended up cashing receptions for me every week of his career by his final season in Tampa Bay. So, hey, you don't have to be a particularly talented pass catcher to get volume.
You don't have to be good to do numbers, bro.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I think dude, that's what I'm saying, though. If he catches 2 passes, right, they're giving me his line at 8.5 yards for total receiving yards, right? That's implied into that thing. And guess what? I'm getting almost 5-1 odds on it. I'm not just betting it straight or anything like that. I'm getting almost 5-1 for him to do it. So, I think Deontay has a great game. I think that's a good shout. I think Pickens doesn't do much in this one either. I just don't see it happening. Even though Douglas is gone, that's a big loss. I still don't know if I want to trust him either. If I want to trust George Pickens to do something deep down the field, because the Packers have been decent against the deep pass, right? We haven't been torched down the field. It's been all underneath. It's been all like yards after the catch, but we haven't been like with the air yards actually just catching it and doing it. Like, there hasn't been many. It's been all yards after the catch.
Under 3.5 receptions is minus 140 in some spots, up to minus
Pickens?
160. Yeah. I don't hate that at all.
That ain't bad at all, dude.
Because even FanDuel is already to 2.5, it looks like.
That's what I thought it would be.
Yeah. So, because honestly, right, when you look at a matchup, I don't want to keep us here too long, but I think you kind of nailed it. When you look at a matchup on paper, there's always the outside wide receiver, especially when you go against a very strong outside wide receiver. There's always the guy that's kind of the sacrificial lamb. And it's not necessarily that they're like a bad player, but he's going to run out into the toughest matchup in like 90% of his routes because they don't creatively scheme him the ball, right? That just doesn't happen. Deontay is going to get those clever over the middle passes, while Pickens is going to have to beat one of the best corners in the league consistently deep and hoping that he can then convert one of those 30-yard catches. So for me, always longest reception for Pickens. That's always the kind of bet you want to play with him. But 3.5 catches, that seems a little bit much for me.
Yeah, and one thing that's I think is hilarious is Jair talks a lot, right? He talks a lot, but he also, like, when he is better than the person he's guarding, the dude goes nuts. Like against Jefferson, he talks, right? But he does it after something happens. Like Jair will talk the entire game because he knows he's probably not going to get beat that often, right? So he's going to be in his bag, dude. It's going to be here. He's on the road. He's going to be talking to the fans. This is like a game Jair lives for, bro. Like, this is literally everything put together. George Pickens not going to get not a ton of targets, right? You get one-on-one, get to face off against him. You got a quarterback that you don't trust a ton. You get to talk shit to the fans. You're going to be right there. This is literally just adds up to a perfect Jair game to just be an absolute menace. But, Stu, what do you got for the people? We're at that hour mark. We actually did pretty good. 59-10. We got 50 seconds. What we got here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just make sure you're following over on Twitter. I already have one play out, Amon-Ra St. Brown bet that is currently pinned to my page over on Twitter. Yeah, make sure you're following over there. Don't have much to promote. Really, just leave a like on the video, subscribe. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, giving out free picks. I don't think you get this level of analysis everywhere. Or sorry, I know you don't get this level of analysis anywhere because I've been on this fucking app for the last 4 years and I know every single fucking face of this community. So I do know. And I know this is legit right here. And I appreciate the people that tune in every week. They like the video, they comment. I know it only takes a couple seconds, but it means a lot to us, truly. Actually, it really doesn't mean much to us. It means a lot to the algorithm gods. We care about your football questions. We don't care, hey, you're so good at this. But hey, the algorithm cares, and we care about the algorithm. So help us out. That's what I'm trying to say. Leave a like on the video, leave a like on Twitter, all that stuff. Very easy to do, very helpful for us. I think we got some killer picks this week. Hey, ready to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, let's push those likes up. Let's get we're pushing hopefully for 50, right? Let's get to 50 likes. That would be ideal. Got to get back over that 500-600 view mark, right? Pop in here, hit that like Stu said, the algorithm does things that people in a higher pay grade than us wanted to get that out there for you guys. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. All those plays, if you want the recap, it's about 5 minutes ago. So go pop over there, take a look, and make sure you're on the lookout for us posting on this video because I know we have a couple long shots that we want to play yet. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck this week, and let's crush week 10, baby. Let's do it.